Number 5. Canada. Our first stop, Waterfront Station, Vancouver, BC, home to the Canucks and apparently a bunch of train station ghouls. On my birthday, 1914, this haunted megalith opens. This place is haunted, okay? It's riddled by a couple famous ghosts and ghouls to locals. Apparently the ghosts of 1920s flapper girls can be seen the most on both security cameras as well as heard throughout the halls. 1920s music throughout the halls. Like, how isn't this a Wan Universe movie already? Of course, if you missed them, you can be sure to see the 3 old ladies quietly sitting on the infamous ghost bench, waiting in eternity for their train. The sitting bench ladies. Yeah. That's horrifying. And of course, if you exit the building to escape all the apparitions to the railway tracks north of the building, you might be sure to see the ghost of Hub Clark, a railway worker killed on site slipping on the tracks. The famous headless track worker is apparently he. His lantern still glowing in hand, commuters say late at night. The Headless Brakeman is the official title of that spirit by locals. Another security guard got a taste of the music in the northwest corner of the building. He entered an empty room and encountered a ghost of an old woman. She was glowing phosphorus white apparently and had a mournful look on her face. And then she reached out to grab him. Yeah. Apparently it's not the only security guard to be lunged at. Can you imagine? 6 hours into your workday and a ghost ghoul lady just reaching out to get you? Yeah. No thanks. As always, dudes, if you dig what we do here on Top 5 Scary, make sure to leave us a thumbs up down below. Or comment which haunted commute you take every morning. Apparently there's a haunted Bay Street entrance that's haunted right around the corner from me. Yeah, I won't be checking it out anytime soon, of course, but very interesting.
In our 4th spot, we have the Headless Ghost. In October of 1889, a train conductor by the name of John Walsh was bringing the train along the Nickel Plate Railroad in Arcadia. While waiting for the signal to allow him to continue traveling on, he noticed that a section of the train cars had disconnected. While trying to reconnect the train, the other missing section came barreling towards him, smashing his head between the 2 cars. He was instantly killed. In January of 1890, it was said that an engineer had seen John's ghost. So now, legend goes that at night you can see John's headless ghost roaming the tracks, looking for his lost head. It is also said that he carries a lantern which he swings back and forth while he's on the tracks. Even train conductors have apparently seen this headless man while traveling these routes. Other passengers have seen the eerie glow of his lantern at night. Moving on to number 3, we have the ghost train. This is an urban legend from St. Louis, Saskatchewan. The legend surrounds a train conductor who one night got decapitated by a train. Some believe he fell on the tracks. Others believe he was checking the tracks when a train reversed over him. Either way, this ghostly man and his ghostly train now haunt the area. According to the legend, sometimes at night you can see the lights of this ghost train traveling along the tracks. Some say it's a white light, others have seen a red light. A man named Edward Lucier claims he has seen this train. When he was younger, his father, mother, aunt, and uncle wanted to see this light. He and his cousin decided to follow them in their own vehicle to scare them. While they were all out there, they witnessed the blinding light of the train. Then it disappeared without a trace. Even the mayor claims to have seen the light. He said, and I quote, "It basically looks like a street light from a distance. That's a little brighter and gets a little dimmer, and there's a little red light that's sometimes seen on either side of it." Over the years, people have tried to debunk this legend, but still, many stand by what they have seen or heard. In our 2nd spot, we have the Silver Pilen train, which means the silver arrow in Swedish. Basically, legend goes that one day a silver train showed up among the hundreds of green trains in Stockholm's metro system. Locals didn't like this train because of its raw look. It was also a different design than their standard train, and apparently it even looked a little bit dirtier on the inside. And that's when the legend of the Silver Arrow train was born. Basically, legend goes if you get on this train, you won't ever arrive at your station. Instead, you will travel the route endlessly for the rest of your life. Also, apparently, you only see this train after midnight. The passengers aboard the train are all dead. Another version says that the train only stops once every year. So for those looking to travel to just the next station, you're doomed. This legend has spooked so many people that when they see this train, they refuse to get on it. Also, people are gonna come for me and they're gonna be like, it's route, not route. Okay, I'm Canadian, so I say route. And in our number 1 spot, we have Kisaragi Station, aka the train station that doesn't exist. So this legend started after a series of posts were added on Japan's 2-channel message board. It was posted under a thread titled, "Post strange occurrences that have happened to you." It was then translated into English. So basically, the poster was riding a train late at night when she realized it was not going to any of her usual stops. Instead, it traveled for an hour without stopping. After finally stopping, she found herself at a place called Kisaragi Station. Hopefully I pronounced that right. But it was completely deserted. And nobody on the platform that she was posting on could find any information on this station. She contacted her family for help, but they couldn't find this station either. At this point, that was the last train of the night, and her phone was about to die. So she decided to walk back along the tracks where she came from. That's when strange things start to happen to her. Her last post said, and I quote, "My battery's almost run out. Things are getting strange. So I think I'm going to make a run for it. I'm going to make this my last post for now." After that post, she was never heard from again.
Starting off at our number 5 spot, Mossman. I'm really hoping this person is dressed up like this because it's Halloween, but I'm willing to bet that's not the case based on this woman's expression. Why someone would feel the need to cover themselves in moss, I couldn't tell you. The only reason I've seen someone dressed up like this is if they're hunting or something like that, and they're trying to camouflage themselves and blend into their surroundings. But if you're on the subway, then you're definitely going to be standing out instead of blending in if you're dressed like this. And I'm sure there is no way it smells good in there.
Number 4. England. We now arrive home at some of the oldest train stations on this planet. Actually, the oldest. Leave it up to the Scousers to have the oldest working operable train stations as their Guinness World Record. Liverpool's railway stations have been kicking for a long time now. Lime Street Station, Liverpool Street Station, James Street Railway. These are some of the most haunted stations in all of Europe. Lime Street Station, Liverpool, has seen its fair share of spooky stories over the years. Opening back in 1833, this place is haunted so much it's practically joked about now. In 2012, a farce, A Nightmare on Lime Street, was performed at the Royal Court Theatre, starring David Guest as Frankenstein's monster, being recreated in the bowels of Lime Street Railway Station. It's like a joke at this point. James Street Station dates back to the 1880s and has been part of Liverpool's transport system ever since then. Also a staple part of this station appears to be the ghostly soldiers who have been riding the train from Birkenhead Central to James Street every day. He's been known to vanish mid-ride and dress as a colonel with a twirly mustache. Back in the 1990s, many people had written in and told the local paranormal writer Tom Sleman that passengers were seeing this ghost on a Liverpool train on the regular. Can you imagine? Ghost just leans over and asks you what time it is, just straddling a horse the whole time. "Excuse me, mate, you got the time?" "Right, thanks." Number 3. India. Located in West Bengal, there's a train station that, from the looks alone of it, looks like you need a tetanus shot and a priest with you at all times. There have been many ghostly sightings at this outdoor railway, the Guncoder train station. Yeah, you don't want any part of this smoke because apparently it's a mix of local lore, criminal activity, and media attention. Passengers on this dusty track can be sure to see the diluted figures of ghostly women that have been seen in and around the tracks at night. For many years now, draped in a bright white sari, walking down the dusty tracks wandering the afterlife, slowly trudging along. There is legend that the women that have been seen here were victims of an accident on the tracks and that they were mournfully bound by the area of this previous accidental event. And of course, at the exact same time, as a local group of men in West Bengal just recently got busted after this nearly half-century old myth of a haunted railway station was uncovered as an operation to attract tourists. Potentially a big scam. Apparently camping behind the station at night, under police protection, the locals who created this myth, I guess, try and boost ghost tourism, and then apparently loot some of the tourists' belongings after scaring them away. Like, that's not a bad gig, you know? Of course, criminal and technically a train holdup. This just sounds like a good Scooby-Doo episode, doesn't it? The local ghost turns out to be just wise guys up to no good. Hey, let's see who the real ghost is. Huh? Number 2. Ireland. Again, at first I thought the oldest train stations would be like in America somewhere in the south or something. Some like Wild West type ghost locomotives just chugging along. Just carrying like pounds of gold or something. Nope. Europe again. Heading over to where they breed some of the roughest and the toughest, they make everything metal from locomotives to the Titanic herself. We arrive in Ireland. Connolly Station, busiest railway station in all of Ireland. Downtown city stuff, you know? And it's old. Opened its doors in like 1844. It was known back then simply as Dublin Station. It was actually blown up during World War II and laid rock and rubble until about 2016 when it was taken on as a challenge to rebuild what was then the iconic and original structured look of the pre-World War Central Station. Oh yeah, and of course lots of ghostly figures can be seen on the grounds of old Connolly Station there. Imagine just sipping your morning coffee on your way to work, standing next to a soldier on a horse with a sword. Like, horrifying. Apparently these are soldiers in military dress just wandering about the station. I've never been to a haunted railway myself, but apparently the grey military shadows are like more common than you think. They can be seen from on the tracks to even outside on security cameras. Apparently this place is like totally normal with this being like really haunted. I told my Irish buddy about Connolly Station last week. He's like, oh yeah, Connolly Station. Oh yeah, I know it like the back of my hand. Yeah, haunted. Yeah. Terrifying place. And number 1, Singapore. And now our last stop on our commute and our number 1 spot, Bichon Station. It's known as being one of the most haunted stations on this planet due to the influx of sightings and claims commuters have made surrounding this place. We start with some history. Built on the site of a former cemetery. Check. Yeah, seen some things, you know? I mean, isn't this how it always starts, building over cemeteries and graves? During its construction in 1987, due to the station's location in and or around the cemetery, workers from the beginning have had problems with the foundation, to floods, to even electrical fires. Haunted since they started, it seems, huh? Located on the Pek San Theng Cemetery, the station's tales include everything from kneeling apparitions, glowing orbs, and of course the countless headless spirits boarding the trains. That's one way to wake you up in the morning, you know? Who needs a coffee when there's a headless apparition walking around at 7 a.m.? Apparently the last car of the train is infamous and riddled with these so-called headless commuters. According to Singapore paranormal investigators, calls and letters from night passengers claiming to witness headless ghosts at the station is an unusually high number. The station is no stranger to accidents as well, adding to the lore. In 2004, a 31-year-old passed away after accidentally falling on the tracks. The same year, an elderly man was the victim of a similar accident falling onto the tracks. The operators added that the trains failed to properly operate due to the technical faults of previous floods. Hey, this station just got bad news bears written all over it, doesn't it? What do you think?
Starting off this countdown, we have the Phantom Funeral Train. On April 19th, 1865, Abraham Lincoln's funeral train departed Washington, D.C. This was to transport his remains to Springfield, Illinois, where he was buried. The train made a couple of stops on the way for people to pay their respects to him. Now, legend goes that on April 19th of every year, the ghost train of Abe Lincoln can be seen traveling this route. A number of switchmen have claimed to see this train. In an interview, one switchman said he was at his post waiting for the Midnight Express when he saw this ghostly train pass by. Another worker claims that when the train passed, he saw some passengers aboard and they all looked ghostly and pale. Another claims to have seen Abe's coffin through the train's window. And lastly, according to the legend, when the train passes by, all watches and clocks in the area will randomly stop as the train passes. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up because it really helps us out.
In at number 4, head of lettuce. Yeah, there's really no reason for someone to do this. Are they trying to start a new fashion trend? Maybe. Did they think this would cool them down? Possibly. But I mean, really? If this is something you enjoy doing, then maybe it's one of those things you should do in the privacy of your own home. And as much as I'm all about originality and people being their authentic selves, this is a little much. But hey, if you like walking around with lettuce on your head, then you do you. Heck, maybe I'm missing out on a great thing here and I don't even know it. And now that I'm looking at it a little bit closer, it kinda looks like a cabbage leaf, not a lettuce leaf. So now I'm just even more confused. At number 3, who's hungry? Here we have a woman who doesn't like to waste any time. That's pretty innovative thinking if you ask me. After working a long day, the last thing you want to do is go home and cook dinner instead of spending quality time with your family. Now she's being smart and getting the prep work out of the way. She came all prepared, she even has a cutting board. That's how you know she means business. Now this could backfire if someone was allergic to whatever it was you're cutting up. Or wait a minute, is that an onion she's chopping? If she is, that's kinda rude. She's going to get the whole subway car crying. Coming in at number 2, rhino on board. Could you even imagine if one day you're just sitting there on the subway minding your own business and then all of a sudden this fellow makes his way onto your train? I mean, it's pretty hilarious. But oh my god, does that ever look like an uncomfortable costume? That head must weigh a ton. And just look at the size of the horn. The poor poor person inside there can't even sit down. We can't really see what the sign above the head says, but let's hope this was for a good cause. Or you know, maybe this person just likes wearing rhino costumes in their spare time. And in at number 1, 4 princes. There's just really no reason for this. No one's eyes should have to be objected to this. It's wrong on a bunch of levels. Like, are you guys good? I mean, look at them. They don't look too happy, do they? They're all crying or pouting, except for that sassy one in the middle sticking out his tongue. Yeah, I see you. From what I can see from the other passengers on the subway, it appears like it's warmer weather, if I'm going off of what they're wearing. So, you know, hopefully these guys aren't too chilly. It's not looking too nippy out. So, you know, that's good.